Hey everyone, my name is Sean and today we're going to talk a little bit about my philosophy behind Orcust and its current state in the current format. I'm going to give you a deck profile of what I played at a regional yesterday where I was able to win this lovely box here in a winner box tournament. And just to speak about my credentials a little bit more, in the previous format I was able to top 2 regionals back to back using both Sky Striker Orcust and Pure Orcust. So I do feel like at the moment I do have a very good grasp on the deck, and I want to share with you my profile. So overall, the philosophy of Orcust has changed slightly. We used to be a deck which had a lot of one card starter combos, which would then trade with its opponent evenly, so that eventually you would outpace your opponent and then just kind of go for game. But however, we're a little bit harder to do that now. Because we lost our horror, we have lost a way to access our Orcust combos completely. We've lost a direct line of play, and now we are more reliant on Orcust Nightmare than ever before. Because of that, you have to kind of protect Orcust Nightmare and make sure it goes off. So instead of being a deck which relies mostly on having one card to facilitate its plays, you really need to make sure you have 2 cards. One Orcust card on the field and one non-Orcust card or any other card on the field in order to make Galatea. And your Galatea is more important than ever before as well. You have to make Galatea a threat in this format. It cannot just be a stepping stone for Dingetsu because she manages your engine. And for every single turn you do not win the game, you always want to ask yourself as you play, can I make sure I've got access to Orcust Nightmare for a follow-up play during the next turn? And that really affects the way you play this deck quite a bit. So let's go into the main deck and I want to talk about my choices for this current format. So, as I alluded to just a moment ago, Orcust Nightmare is the most important card in the deck. You're going to play this at 3, you want to see it as often possible, you want to use it every single turn you can do, and you want to protect her from getting things like DD Crowed or banished, so Orcust Nightmare is very, very vital. Your extenders for the deck are World Legacy World 1 and Symbol Skeleton. Both are basically equally as important as one another. Having one is no longer good, you need to have 2 of each. World Legacy World 1's first effect of being able to summon a World Legacy card from the hand to the field is also very relevant, so do keep an eye out for that. But 2 of each is perfect in my opinion. Then we have 1 copy of Orcust Brass Bombard. I've seen some crazy lists with this. Some people like to play 3, some people choose to play none. I think 1 is the perfect number. It doesn't come up very often when you want to use this card, but when you do, it's nice to have. It is an Orcust name, it is a level 1, which is relevant. I'll talk about why later on. And with Christian Needle Fiber coming up soon, next month with Dual Overload, having your level 1 machine tuner is going to be very nice because it can make that, and it makes Christian Needle Fiber a 1 card Orcust card combo really. Well, not 1 card, you need to make it first, but still, it really helps facilitate plays in that regard. So Orcust Brass Bombard at 1 I think is perfect. Next we have Gizmek. Gizmek is still amazing, it is a double-edged sword. Orcust, in my opinion, finds it harder than ever before to put multiple monsters on board because you don't have Harp Horror anymore. So this means you are not as able to freely go into things like Boros Sword, Zero Boros, or Bomber Dragon, or any other Link 4 monster that you want to use to kind of win and seal the game. I do wish we could still do so, but it just doesn't happen as much as before. So Gizmek really helps you in that regard of being able to put more damage on board, and also can be used defensively with Orcust Crescendo to kind of protect your boards by being a 1-turn special summonable card by banishing 8 cards from your deck. It is a double-edged sword though. I did find that in my experience yesterday that when I was using Gizmek, it does kind of hinder how many turns you are able to grind for, so you've got to use this card very wisely, and you've got to make sure that when you use it, you always make sure you have access to Orcust Nightmare for a combo follow-up play later on. So Gizmek's still in the deck at 1 in my opinion. Normal summons, we have of course our 2 Dark Warriors and 3 Scrap Recycler. 5 normal summons is perfect. It is technically still, you can still consider your normal summons to be a 1 card starter because it can go into Nightmare, World 1 Summon Nightmare, then you can make a Galatea, but it's still a little bit weaker than it was before because you haven't got Harp Horror, so you still kind of want extenders to go with this, but it still helps your deck so much, and you really want to kind of see one of these every turn. If you do, you're kind of laughing, you're kind of having a very comfortable game because you're going to access Nightmare. Then we play as extenders, we play the Danger package. So we played all 5 main Dangers, 2 Jackalope, 2 Snake, 1 Nessie. Dangers are necessary to extend your plays in order to make better boards, but also the best thing about Dangers now is that they can go into one of your extra deck starters for this deck, and that is Curious. Curious requires 3 monsters of the same attribute, so you can get 3 dark monsters on board, you can make Curious, send Nightmare, and then you've got Orcust combo. So Dangers really help out with that, and also they help get cards from your hand to the graveyard, and when they're discarded they also provide you a body. So Dangers, in my opinion, are very necessary for this deck. Now, there are more monsters for this deck, but I'm going to just focus on the mandatory cards to begin with, and then I'm going to talk about what's more optionable or flexible with this deck. So onto the spells. Your mandatory spells are Rota for your Dark Warriors. Monster Reborn is amazing right now. Monster Reborn it does everything you need it to do. It provides you an Orcust card on board, it provides you an extender, it takes cards from your opponent's grave. I won a game against Moonlight Orcust with this yesterday because my opponent made a full board with Babel on field, Nightmare engraved, Dingesu engraved, and then I went standby main, and he said, yep, fine. I played Monster Reborn, targeted his Dingesu, and he hadn't used his Nightmare, so he couldn't recur it back. So I just stole his Dingesu and made my own board with it, and broke his board quite easily. So Monster Reborn is still amazing. 1-for-1 is vital, in my opinion. It gives you, it facilitates either getting an Orcust card on board or a non-Orcust card on board. Your non-Orcust card target I'll talk about later, but 1-for-1 is really good right now because it can search out Bombard and go for further extended plays. Foolish Burial, obvious reasons. Now, Instant Fusion. There are 2 Instant Fusions in this deck. After playing at Regionals yesterday, I think it's only necessary at 1. I haven't chosen to swap it out yet. I'll talk about why that is a little bit later on. But Instant Fusion, again, it gives you another dark card on board, which you can use to make Curious, and it also helps to break your opponent's board by using things like Thousand Eyes Restrict. So Instant Fusion is very, very good. And then R5 are 6 Orcust cards. Spells and traps are Babel, free return. Return is very important. We do not play Allure of Darkness anymore. Allure of Darkness does nothing to further an Orcust deck's play. You do not want to banish your dark monsters, you want them to go to the graveyard so you can use their effects. Where we had Striker Orcust, putting spells in the grave was relevant because it triggers off Engage so you can get the +1. But we can't do that no more, so there's no real point to play Allure of Darkness, but Return unbricks your hand. By being able to use it once per turn, you can kind of draw into more resources, so it's really solid there. And then last but not least, when we play, I think mandatory now is True Crescendo. With Spirals being the dominant deck of the format, a lot of decks are choosing to play Go Second, at least in the UK. That means they are playing a lot of main deck Go Second cards like Evenly Match. And Crescendo just helps you to protect your board, and it also really helps in the grind game for you to be able to kind of negate your opponent's plays and kind of stop them from mounting a comeback offense. So Crescendo is really, really solid, and I think it needs to be played at 2 rather than 1. Whereas in the past format we had the Striker Toolbox, so we had things like Widow Anchor or Shark Cannon to use to make our offensive plays. Now we don't have that anymore. You kind of want to make Galatea a threat. You want people to not want Galatea on the board, and by having access to her Omni Negate, it just makes her so much stronger than she used to be. Instant Fusion is, like I said earlier, I think this is one of the optional cards. I don't think you need to run 2 of these. I think 1 is perfectly fine, and that is because in this deck currently I'm running both Thousand Eyes Restrict and Winder. However, because again, like I said in my experience, I found that a lot of players are choosing to go second with things like Evenly Match. Making a Winder board is less effective because your opponent is going to be able to make their Evenly Match live. So you want to kind of make Galatea plays with Crescendo as opposed to set up with Blind Winder with the Gears on board, because it's very easy to get around. So I think dropping to Instant Fusion to 1 is what I'm going to do in the future, but it is questionable. Another card which is technically optional, but I think is also very useful, is Called by the Grave. It stops hand traps, it does everything Called by the Grave does. Called by the Grave just allows you to play defensively, allows you to play offensively. It isn't a starter for the deck, but it really does help you make sure your Nightmare goes off, so you aren't so worried about getting hit by Ash, DD Crow, Lancia still around, so etc. And yeah, Called by the Grave, I think it's a very relevant card at the moment, as is Cosmic Cyclone. I've watched a lot of Orcust builds go up since the February format, and a lot of people are choosing to take out main deck forms of spell and trap removal. I thought that was a weakness. I do not think that is a smart play to do. I think a lot of players are trying to capitalise on the fact that players are not main decking forms of back row removal and they're choosing to side it. and therefore we've seen the rise of cards like Mystic Mine come back into play because it's a really good card against Spiral as a blowout card. So Cosmic Cyclone is, in my opinion, a necessary evil. You want to have ways to kind of deal with your opponent's back row that isn't through a monster effect, so Cosmic Cyclone is preferable. Of course, this could be Twin Twister. I just find Cosmic Cyclone to be a little bit more flexible. In my opinion, the way I like to play this card is to keep it in my hand. I don't even like to set this card. I just want to have it live so when I need it, it's there. I don't like to just kind of use it willy-nilly. Cosmic Cyclone, in my opinion, is a really good card, so I play 3 of it. And the last 3 cards on this deck are one of my favourite cards. It's Cyber Dragon Daxter. This card might as well just be an Orcust card. It's so good. It does so much for the deck. First of all, it can be special summoned by sending a monster from your hand to the graveyard, which helps you get any cards that you draw that you don't want in your hand, like World Wand, Nightmare, Symbol Skeleton. Whatever you don't want in your hand, you can just send it to the graveyard where you really want it to be. It triggers Danger's effects by doing so as well, because it is a discard, so you get a free Danger plus from it. Daxter also is a special summon is an effect, so it can be negated, but that's also really good for baiting out things like Appaloosa or Trigate. So if they want to negate that, sure, go ahead. I've still got my normal summon. I've still got other extenders I can play with. Also, it is later on after turn 2 or turn 3, Cyber Dragon Daxter can be used to summon Ningetsu from the graveyard, because Ningetsu is a machine that has 2100 defense. So you can use it to kind of bring back Ningetsu and facilitate further plays, which is really nice and really lovely. A lot of players don't seem to be aware of that. And first and last of all, it is both a level 1 and it is also a machine. It is also a Cyber Dragon, which is very relevant for your extra deck plays, so I'm going to go into my extra deck now. First of all, like I said earlier, one of the cards that you really want to make with this deck is Curious if you don't have access to one of your normal summons. Now, Curious requires 3 monsters of different types but of the same attribute, so you want a dark monster on the field. So with Cyber Dragon Daxter, you can choose to either use it as a contact fusion to go for a Mega Fleet and get rid of one of your opponent's resources in the extra monster zone, or similarly you can go into a Karibo. By doing so, both cards can be used with other cards such as your Dangers to go and make Curious. This is what makes Cyber Dragon Daxter just such a good card. It has so many uses in this deck. I just love I love it as a star. Some people really don't like it. I think it's great. I think it really fits well into this deck, and I think it goes well with your Curious, Mega Fleet, Linkuriboh play. While Linkuriboh is relevant, we also have Thousand Eyes Restrict for our instant fusion plays. This came up so many times. Thousand Eyes Restrict, go into Linkuriboh, or even just Thousand Eyes Restrict on its own is just so good of a card just to unbrick your opponent's hand. I said earlier that I might start to drop Winder because people are choosing to do things like Blind Evenly now. Winder doesn't really work against that. She used to be very good. It may just be a better call to take her out for now, but with the El Shadow structure deck coming out next week, I think Winder still maybe be a little bit useful, but we'll see if she can last in the current format with the way it's going. We then have our discarded our cards that discard cards from our hand. We have our 2 Nightmares and our Barricade Board Blocker, still very relevant in the format. And of course we play IP Masquerader, which can be used to go into Nightmares during your opponent's turn for obvious reasons. And then we have our Orcust cards. We have our, just getting them together, we have of course one Longesu, still relevant, still live. A little bit harder to use this card nowadays with the current format because it's not as relevant to be able to link it to your, I don't know, people can play around it quite easily in my opinion. 3 Galatea, I am missing 1 Galatea at the moment, I don't know where it's gone, but 3 Galatea I still think is relevant. Some people are choosing to play 2, I think that's wrong. Galatea is so important these days. And Ningetsu at 2 as well. Just still an amazing boss monster, very versatile, that's where you want to, anything you really needed to do, and kind of goes further on for just allows you to break your opponent's board consistently. It also functions as an engine card. So onto the side deck. Side deck can be changed a bit. I still think the side deck's pretty good and it served me well. 3 Twin, where you just need that extra form back row removal. Similarly, we have 1 Pancratops and we have 2 Crime Control for board breaking. Dark Rune no More, blowout card. Nibiru, blowout card. Evilly, blowout card. I think this might be too much. In fact, at the regionals yesterday, I found myself doing more 2 Nibiru, 2 Evilly, and 2 Dark Ruler or more, so that I had variety in my options rather than playing 3 of the same. I found myself doing this a bit more than maybe say like a Pankratops as 7 cards as I did, but further testing is required. So that is my Orcust deck, everyone. I still think Orcust is one of the best decks in the game. It's incredibly reliable. At a regional style level, you can easily take it and hope to do well. You can just rely on it being so consistent as it, less consistent than it used to be, but still a very, very viable choice with, where it's not going to really face a matchup which is so bad you can't really play. So yeah, that was my Orcust build. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe for the deck profiles, and I'll see you soon. Take care.